This is a story that I reported actually just before we started recording this podcast. I reported on Transfermarkt that RB Leipzig are in talks with Liverpool's Harvey Elliott. He was one of the big stars at the U21 European Championships. Pretty much him and Nick Woltemade were the big stars coming out of that tournament, right? Elliott, of course, led his country to the title.
A lot of blonde highlights.
A lot of blonde highlights. At least no man bun. Got rid of that, but fantastic player. Playing for a club where his minutes are very limited at the moment. Had some injury trouble last year too, and is now pushing to go somewhere where he can play more. RB Leipzig are interested because they're moving on from Harvey Simmons. Where he is going and when is actually only a matter of time. We've discussed this plenty. Don't need to delve on that, but they have identified Harvey Williams now as the perfect Harvey Simmons replacement, and it's an interesting target. Can play in that attacking midfield role, attacking midfielder, right wing. Has very good numbers in the limited time he's played. Wants to go there. And I reported this for Transfermarkt. Has had conversations with the Leipzig head coach Ole Werner. Spoke to sporting director Marcel Schäfer. If you think Jurgen Klopp is involved in that, I've been told he's not actively involved in talks, but I'm pretty sure he's lurking about in the background somewhere, making sure that the kid that he signed from Fulham back in 2019 might end up in Red Bull clothing like he did. It's an intriguing one. We'll have to see where it goes because I'm pretty sure Liverpool will want a lot of money. I hear that they want to sell him and not loan him. I hear from the Leipzig camp that they may be talking a loan. So, that is the conversations that still need to take place. But it's absolutely the case that Leipzig have targeted Harvey Elliott. And we'll have to see where this goes, Stefan. But an intriguing name, an intriguing player. I think the Bundesliga would be a great place for him.
Yeah, I think the Bundesliga would be a great place for him. I've been waiting all summer for someone to sign Harvey Elliott. I wrote last year a piece explaining why I thought he'd be a great replacement for Mohamed Salah. I was quite surprised that they being Liverpool signed him up to the contract because I expected Elliott to be the kind of guy they were kind of keeping in the wings, literally, to replace Salah. That obviously hasn't happened. They decided to stick with Salah for the long term, and obviously Harvey Elliott then kind of got the nudge from that, saying, if you want first team football, you're going to have to move on. I remember writing for our Substack about why he'd be a great replacement for Leroy Sané. And yeah, I think he's probably one of the best kind of under 21 players in European football right now. In certain aspects, he's a great playmaker. He's a great winger. He can play through the middle. He can play on the right. He can play on the left. He can dribble really, really well. He can go past players. He's fast, but I think probably one of his most kind of underrated skills is his playmaking side of things. He's great cross on him, great through balls, great key passes. When I wrote about him last year, I was basically making the point that he'd probably, if you look at his per 90 stats, which admittedly are based on limited game time for Liverpool the season before, when he got a chance for Liverpool, he was an outstanding playmaker. Now, whether he can kind of step in and replace Xavi Simmons straight away obviously remains to be seen because he has made the step up to senior football in English football, but he hasn't made the step up regularly, I would say, for Liverpool and become a first team player on a regular basis. So he'll have to maybe kind of adapt to that. He'll have to adapt to the league as well, but I suspect he'll probably take to the Bundesliga very well. And in terms of a replacement for Xavi Simmons, I think Leipzig fans couldn't have asked for maybe a better signing, to be honest with you. He's young, he's hungry, very driven. I think he's very mature, as he showed for playing for England at under 21s. He really kind of dragged that team to the final, more or less. And he's been very mature about the fact that he's going to have to move on from Liverpool to get game time. But I think the kind of interesting subplot to this, Manu, is the fact that Jurgen Klopp is now at Leipzig. And the fascinating thing is that in Klopp's final season at the club, when, if I'm not mistaken, it was Salah who was out injured. It was Elliott that stepped in for him in the first half of the season up until about January or February, I think. Salah then came back into the team, and then Elliott got dropped back to the bench. And when Jurgen Klopp left Liverpool, he was asked, what's one of your biggest regrets, especially from that season? And he specifically said, I wish I'd given Harvey Elliott more game time.
Mm.
So it's really interesting. I know you're saying Klopp technically hasn't played a role in this, and I understand all that, but
I
it'd be
was
really interesting if the
explicitly
end.
told that Klopp is not playing a role in
Yeah,
that.
yeah,
So I take that with a grain of salt.
fair enough. But it'll be interesting to see if he does end up at Leipzig off the back of Jurgen Klopp, maybe whispering something in his ear about coming there or vice versa, because maybe Klopp regrets not playing him enough at Liverpool, and he's convinced Leipzig say, hey, look, this guy's worth the money, because Liverpool will not let him go for free. I think he was linked to, I guess it was maybe Bayern at the start of the year, at the start of the summer, and there was a hefty buyback clause, I think, included in that. So we need to see what the how that all kind of plays out. But considering the money that Leipzig spent to sign Xavi Simmons early in the year, knowing that they'd sell him, I think it's a no-brainer with Harvey Elliott, because he'll come to the Bundesliga, do very well for himself. I think England international, Premier League clubs will be lining up to sign him in a year or two's time. So it's a bit of a no-brainer for me, Manu.
I think so too. Um, I think it's going to be interesting what the structure of the deal is going to be here like, right? I assume that Liverpool will want to have some sort of control in the player's future going forward, right? So Leipzig gonna loan him with an option to buy, similar to how they did with Harvey Simmons, right? That was an initial loan from PSG that then got extended with a buy option worth 50 million euros. And in PSG, of course, they get 20% of the profit that Leipzig will make on a future deal. And so the question is like, how Liverpool are going to structure that? I think maybe an indication, and yes, they play a different position and they're different players and all that sort of thing, but I actually kind of think a good model will probably like be the Kwanzaa deal that Leverkusen made, right? They bought him, and I think there's a buyback option for Liverpool in that deal. I could see something like that in case like Elliott explodes in Germany and bigger clubs come in, and Liverpool could buy him back and sell him on if they needed to, or bring him home. As you mentioned, Mo Salah, how much longer is he going to be around, right? So it's an interesting one. I think that both clubs are going to. It is one thing for the player to say, okay, look, I'm willing to do this, right? And then it's another thing for Leipzig and Liverpool to sit down and hammer out a deal that works for both sides, right? And I think this is really the key thing here, and this is where a lot of negotiations still need to happen between the two sides, where they need to figure out an evaluation of the player. I've been told that Liverpool are looking at how much Leipzig are getting for Harvey Simmons, in the region of 70 million euros, and they're saying to Leipzig, well, Elliott's numbers aren't far off his numbers. We understand he doesn't have as much playing time, but when he did play, his numbers were really good, and so maybe we wanted a number that is accordingly high. I think David Ornstein was since reported as well, quoted around 40 million, 50 million pounds. I'm pretty sure Leipzig will want to press that number down. He will have his sources in his reporting, and I trust his reporting 100%. But we'll have to wait and see where this goes. Leipzig will have a number in the head. Liverpool will have a number in the head. And they will probably find some sort of middle ground to make the player happy.